HP's Victus 16 can be a great budget-friendly gaming laptop, but like most things in life, it's far from perfect. So let's go through all the problems that I had with this laptop that you need to know about before buying. I've got the highest spec model of Victus 16, but it is also available with lower processor and lower GPU options. And those lower GPU options like the 1650 or 3050 for example have other differences too, like different cooling. So expect some differences between the lowest end model and the highest end version that I've got here. I think screen wobble was the thing that people were asking about the most, so let's check it out. Yep, that screen definitely wobbles. Still going. Still wobbling. Stopped. So yeah, it wobbles for quite a bit after just touching it slightly. Now I first noticed this when just picking up the laptop and moving it around, or it happens if you bump the table or just bump the laptop a little, but realistically in practice, I don't think it's going to be that much of a problem because I didn't actually find the screen to wobble while typing on the keyboard. So unless you're sitting here flicking the screen or something or bumping the laptop, it's probably not going to be something you'll actually notice. I didn't think that the plastic build was that bad. Apart from the screen wobble, the front corners could feel a little sharp depending on how you brush up against them. But yeah, all things considered, for an all-plastic laptop, I didn't think it was going to fall apart or anything. Something that annoyed me more personally about the Victus was the software. Now, I did try to reproduce this issue on camera so you could see it, but I couldn't make it happen again. Basically, it happens sometimes when you go to change either the performance modes or fan speed. Sometimes the software just undoes your setting for some reason and you have to apply it again. I'm not really sure why, but it is pretty annoying, and hopefully that gets fixed with an update. A problem that I had with my Victus was the colon key. It just feels different to press compared to all of the other keys around it, and often it doesn't even work properly unless you press it super hard. Now, I don't think this is going to be a problem with all Victus laptops. It's probably just something that's wrong with my unit. But yeah, I'd be pretty annoyed if I bought a new laptop and it came like that. Wait, hang on. I did buy the Victus though. I guess good thing it's just a review unit. If I was using this every day, that alone would make me replace it. The key contrast on the white model is honestly trash, but I guess that's kind of on me for choosing the white model. Because the keyboard only has white backlighting, when that's lit up, you can't really see the keys in a well-lit room. But if you are in a dark room with no light, then yeah, the keyboard lighting would still be useful. And this wouldn't be an issue with the two darker finishes, which are silver or blue. So if you think this will be an issue for you, then probably stay away from the white model. Now, the screen is honestly pretty poor, but at least that can be upgraded with money. I've got the lowest screen option and it's fairly dim. The color gamut is low, there's no FreeSync, and whites just look yellow even after a calibration. Granted, the response time isn't as bad as others, like the more expensive Dell G15. It's like $40 or so to upgrade the screen to a brighter model on the HP website. And personally, if I was spending more than $1,000 on this top spec model, I'd just go for that upgrade. Maybe if you're just getting a lower spec 1650 or 3050 model, it makes sense from a cost perspective to keep the cheapest screen. But yeah, at the same time, $40, I'd probably pay it. The CPU performance was lower than some other 5800H laptops that I've tested, at least in Cinebench. But gaming performance on the other hand was actually decent for a 3060 laptop, considering there's no mux switch and it's got a 95 watt power limit. Though we can also connect an external screen to bypass Optimus and get a little extra speed boost, as shown here. Alright, that's enough negatives. Let's see what else is good about the Victus. My model came with X8 memory in Australia, so I'm not sure if this differs by region, but it's good to see that it didn't have the slower X16 memory like most other laptops in 2021. And this would explain why the Victus 16 was so close to other more expensive 3060 laptops like the Legion 5 in the games earlier, because laptops like that and the Dell G15 for instance ship with a slower X16 memory. The laptop also never actually felt hot to the touch, and this seems to be due to power limiting. Basically, HP sets a power limit for the CPU and GPU, and this prevents the laptop getting too hot. But the downside can be less performance, that's the trade-off. And this is why we saw the Victus behind in Cinebench compared to other 5800H laptops. But hey, this isn't a Cinebench laptop, it's a gaming laptop, and as we saw in those benchmarks earlier, it was still doing quite well. So this might be a reasonable trade-off considering it doesn't feel hot to the touch and it doesn't thermal throttle. Battery life with the Victus is excellent. It was lasting for more than 11 hours in my YouTube playback test. But this might in part be due to the dimmer screen. Perhaps if we paid more to upgrade the screen, it would be brighter and use more power. As for the price, I think the Victus is actually fairly competitive for a 3060 gaming laptop. It's cheaper compared to most other alternatives that I've tested, and despite that, as we saw, it still does perform pretty well in games. If you can live with those downsides mentioned earlier, like the screen wobble, then yeah, the Victus could be worth considering. But on the other hand, if you bump your laptop a lot and that's going to annoy you, then you're probably going to want to look elsewhere. Check out the full review on my main channel if you want all the details about the Victus 16, as I go into far more depth in that one. Or check out this one if you want to see how the Victus performs in 13 different games at all setting levels. That'll give you a much better idea of how different games run on it. Otherwise, if you're new here, then make sure you get subscribed to both of my channels for future laptop reviews.